Hey, hey, what's going on? ¿Cómo están? ¿Cómo están? Hey, I hope everything is fine. Hey, what's going on? This is the introvert Boricua coming up with a little stream. This is gonna be open topics. Anybody who's listening, glad to have you join. Comment in the comment section. What's going on, Jose? I'm kind of like doing a couple of things, and because I do struggle stream, this is always a thing with me. But something that I wanted to do is that there are a couple of things that I was kind of wondering about. And you guys that live in the Northeast, in the more of the northern states, then maybe you can clarify a little something for me that I would rather hear from somebody who lives there and understands it. And maybe, Don Jose, maybe you can give me a hand with this, because I think something like this might be happening in New York State. But first, I want to show something that Rakim, the 18 letter, said me. I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but this is something that you sent me on Instagram. So I'm gonna be sharing it because it's gonna expose better what I'm trying to say. You can hear this. Let me set it up. Okay. What I'm referring to is what they call the abolition of the cash bail system. Now, I understand that there are certain places in the states where apparently there's been some changes in that. Certainly not where I'm at. I'm in Texas, and I'm positive that it's not gonna be such a thing. But I understand that there are places like in Illinois and possibly in New York where there is such a thing, where they're kind of like making changes to the cash bail system for people that have been arrested and suspect of a crime or whatever. And there are people that are going to start letting them out without bail. Now, I have heard kind of like two sides to the argument. I'm going to share one of them. This is something that I got on Instagram, and I want to share it kind of to make a comparison of what one is doing and one is saying versus the other. Let me see if I can get it to work right. Okay. Now let me see if I can play this.
Significant of a role the media plays in quashing progressive movements and keeping more Black people in jail. And it's frustrating because every time we say the criminal system isn't broken, it's working as intended, these are the outlets and institutions that respond, no, we still need to have faith in the system. We need reform, we need reform, we need reform. But then every time we actually get substantive progressive reform, here they go with campaigns like this filled with lies. And please trust that it's not a coincidence that they're going to places like the Shade Room and Baller Alert with Black audiences to peddle these lies, because what they want is for Black people to internalize propaganda and lies so that we don't support progressive initiatives that are designed to keep us out of jail. So I'm going to dispel these myths about the purge law, because there is no purge law. All there is a concerted effort by media, right-wing Republicans, and neoliberals to keep Black people in jail. You've probably heard about Rikers, because Rikers is infamous. But less people realize that Rikers is a pre-trial detention center, meaning the people incarcerated at Rikers have not been convicted of a crime. Last year, 16 people died in Rikers. This year, 13 people died in Rikers, and Rikers has already been declared a human rights crisis. So what if I told you that the crisis happening at Cook County Jail was worse? Cook County Jail is the pretrial detention center in Chicago, Illinois, meaning the people incarcerated at Cook County Jail have not been convicted of a crime. They simply just don't have the money for bail. And that's an important point people need to understand about bail. Bail is not about public safety. Bail is about whether or not you can afford your freedom, period. I am a public defender who represents people that are incarcerated at Rikers, where people are killed, people are beaten, people are sexually assaulted, people spend years of their life. And I'm telling you that I was floored to find out that there are people sitting in Cook County Jail waiting on a trial for 4 years, 8 years, even 11 years. So let me tell you about what the Chicago Public Safety Act would do. The first lie being circulated is that this bail reform will prevent police from being able to make arrests. False. Not only can police arrest whoever they want, like they've always been able to, all the bail reform law does is encourage them not to make completely low-level arrests that they could write tickets for. And you wanna know what else? You wanna know what else? A law enforcement agency proposed that language. The Public Safety Act would take low-level crimes, low-level misdemeanors, non-violent crimes, and instead of those being bail eligible, where you sit in jail because you don't have the money, you fight your case from the outside because now judges cannot set bail and keep you incarcerated for something they probably otherwise would not have been able to. What this Public Safety Act would do is it would get rid of the cash bail system. It doesn't mean that nobody goes to jail pre-trial. It means that instead of whether or not you're free or you're in jail being determined based on how much money you have, instead, prosecutors would have 3 different options that they could keep you detained should they so choose. Prosecutors will have an option to present evidence to the judge showing that you are a threat to public safety or that you have engaged in some kind of willful flight from prosecution, or if you're simply charged with most felonies and they can have you detained pre-trial. The reality is that the vast majority of people in our criminal system are living well beneath the poverty line. They're represented by public defenders because they cannot afford representation, which is a fact. The court, the same court that will then place high bail on them, they know they can't afford it. So it's a tactic by which we put poor people in jail for things we probably couldn't prove at a trial. They'll probably never have a trial. It's a way to coerce them into plea deals. But it is not about public safety, because at the end of the day, if you have the money, you can buy your freedom. So what this act does is it gets rid of that component, and it actually makes it about dangerousness. It makes it about whether or not the prosecutor has some evidence that he can present to justify detaining you pre-trial, rather than just using and exercising your own wealth or lack thereof against you. Listen to me. Do not fall for the propaganda. They're calling it the Purge Law because they want you to believe that a law designed at affording you more rights, at preventing you from being railroaded, at preventing more deaths from mounting inside a Cook County jail is not there to help you. It's a lie. This has nothing to do with public safety. Listen, we allegedly live in a civil society with a presumption of innocence where people should not die awaiting their trial for crimes they have not been convicted of. That shouldn't be what's happening, but that is what's happening each and every day inside this country at pretrial detention centers all around this country. But Cook County Jail and the pretrial detention centers in Chicago and in Illinois are some of the worst. This law is meant to help us. Do not mind the propaganda.
Okay. You heard what the attorney said. Now, this is kind of like one side of the argument. Now, I came across this video. Now, this is kind of like a public meeting, a town meeting on a place called Village of Orland Park. This is also in Illinois. Now, I fast forwarded to a part where the mayor is talking about something that is the Safety Act in Illinois. Let's hear what he says about that, because he has something to announce about the specifics as to the abolition of the cash bail system.
For one cohort in 2023 in an amount not to exceed $24,818. Spark productivity for
okay, I hope that you guys can hear it okay.
Second cohort 2023 in an amount not to exceed $67,000, and authorize the village manager to execute all related contracts subject to village attorney review.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll.
Trustee Compass.
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas.
Aye.
Trustee Healy.
I abstain. I have a business relationship with a vendor.
Chris Milani.
Aye.
Trustee Radiszewski.
Aye.
Mayor Peacock.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0.
Hang on, they're coming up to it. It's just that
Utility Division,
they're going
Kubota
through a couple of
steel
other
wrist
things.
Tilt rotator purchase.
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Malani.
I move to waive the bidding process and approve the purchase of a steel wrist tilt rotator from.
Okay,
Alta
let me see
Equipment
if I
Company,
can
Orland Park,
advance it a
Illinois,
little
in the
bit.
amount not to exceed 60.
The dangerous provisions of the Safety Act that
Okay.
hamper the. Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman,
Trustee Compass.
I move to adopt a resolution entitled, "A Resolution Regarding Illinois Safety, Accountability, Fairness, and Equity Today, Safety Act," and demand that state lawmakers own up to the mistakes they have made with the erroneously named Safety Act and get rid of the dangerous provisions of the Safety Act that hamper the ability of law enforcement to pursue and arrest offenders.
Second.
And I'm going to read the resolution first and make my comments first, and then the board can clean up anything that I've missed, because I've been dealing with this for quite some time, both legislatively and with other towns as well. But so a resolution supporting continued efforts to resolve public safety concerns with the Safety Act. Whereas the Village of Orland Park's mission is to provide services that ensure a high quality of life, sound fiscal management, and a dynamic business environment while creating an inclusive community that values diversity. And whereas providing a safe and secure community for all Orland Park residents and businesses is a focus of the village's priority plan. And whereas the Orland Park Police Department has been a leader in police training, policy and practice, accountability and transparency. And whereas the village values public engagement and stakeholder involvement to ensure all perspectives are considered in the development of legislation. And whereas on January 22nd, 2021, the Illinois Safety, Fairness, and Equity Today Act, Safety Act, was signed into law, which imposes significant changes impacting many aspects of criminal justice system, including pre-arrest diversion, policing, pre-trial sentencing, and corrections. And whereas the Safety Act was poorly drafted, nearly 800 pages, and passed in the middle of the night with little to no public debate. And whereas the state legislature has since made a handful of changes to the Safety Act, but there are still many provisions in the sweeping new law that are not workable and or create public safety concerns. And whereas the law abolishes cash bail as of January 1st, 2023, that all defendants charged with criminal acts should be released from custody without posting monetary bail, which will cause major public safety issues. And whereas violent offenders who are released on electronic monitoring and choose to violate the terms of their release have to be in violation for 48 hours before law enforcement can act. Whereas this denies crime victims their constitutional rights from Article 1, Section 8.1 of the Illinois Constitution, codified in the Rights of Crime Victims and Witnesses Act, that mandates that crime victims shall have the right to have their safety and that if their families considered in denying or fixing the amount of bail, determining whether to release the defendant, and setting conditions of release after arrest and conviction. And whereas eliminating bail not only contradicts previously established and superior law, it places crime victims at a greater risk to be re-victimized and unnecessarily subjects witnesses to threats and intimidation. And whereas the law severely weakens the habitual crime statutes and three-strike sentencing laws, making it harder for our criminal justice system to keep repeat violent offenders off the streets and behind bars. And whereas the village worked with the Illinois Association of Chiefs of Police to share public safety concerns about the Safety Act after its initial release and during consideration of subsequent trailer bills. And whereas the village supports certain elements of the Safety Act and has already implemented elements including body cameras and use of force training, and whereas the Safety Act contains several elements that impact the ability of the village to most effectively provide police services, including, but not limited to, unreasonably limiting the imposition of cash bail, unreasonably limiting police officers' discretion to make arrests, imposing unreasonable police certification and decertification standards, and mandating unreasonable custodial accommodations. And whereas this poorly drafted law containing ill-conceived directives would negatively affect the safety of every citizen of our community. And whereas we must stand with the men and women of law enforcement who consistently stand up for us, and we must not allow this law to stand as passed. And whereas there is an opportunity for legislators to continue to work with public safety representatives and all community stakeholders to further amend the Safety Act to address outstanding public safety concerns, and whereas a failure to remove these provisions or repeal the Safety Act prior to January 1st, 2023 will put the safety of law-abiding citizens and police officers at risk. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the President and Board of Trustees of the Village of Orland Park, Cook and Will Counties, Illinois, in exercise of its home rule authority as follows. The Village of Orland Park demands that the state legislators work with public safety representatives and all community stakeholders to fix remaining problems with the Safety Act, including but not limited to unreasonably limiting the imposition of cash bail, unreasonably limiting police officer discretion to make arrests, imposing unreasonable police certification and decertification standards, mandating unreasonable custodial accommodations, unreasonably allowing offenders to violate terms of their release, and violating victims' rights as outlined in Illinois law. The Village of Orland Park demands that these provisions are removed or that the Safety Act be repealed prior to their implementation on January 1st, 2023. My comments on this. I can't even begin to tell you how dangerous this act is. First, it was passed in the middle of the night with 40 minutes to read an 800-page bill, which is unacceptable. As of January 1st, 2023, the following things will go into effect, and people need to be aware of this. It abolishes cash bail for almost every offense. This includes, but isn't limited to, kidnapping, armed robbery, second-degree murder, drug-induced homicide, aggravated DUI, threatening a public official, and aggravated fleeing and eluding. Offenders released on electronic monitoring have to be in violation for 48 hours before law enforcement can act. They could almost drive to Alaska before we can even look for them. It denies victims their constitutional rights. And keep this in mind, businesses and homeowners. Officers will no longer be able to remove trespassers from your residence or your businesses. Someone could decide to live in your shed, and all we can do is give them a ticket. You have to decide what level of force is required to remove them and whether or not it's legal. This is a massive threat to the residents of Orland Park, Cook County, and Illinois. I want to remind voters that several elected officials that will be on the ballot in Orland Park voted for this abomination. Senator Michael Hastings, Senator Emil Jones, and Representative Justin Slaughter all voted to put criminals ahead of the safety of law-abiding citizens and police. In particular, Senator Hastings, who personally told me that that he had a family and that this bill was horrible and there was no way he would vote for it. An outright lie that, in my opinion, disqualifies him to hold his office. I will gladly cast my vote for this resolution and demand the repeal of the Orwellian-named Safety Act. But it doesn't end here. There is currently a bill in front of the House to remove school resource officers from our schools, which means no resource officer at Sandburg High School. The city of Chicago has already done this. I personally don't want to see the city of Chicago become the standard for how we conduct public safety, because they've abandoned their police officers and abandoned their residents and created a war zone full of criminals. There's also a bill to make fentanyl a misdemeanor in this state. And I want to remind you that we have representatives that currently represent us or will represent us potentially in the federal government that voted to not extend the fentanyl ban federally. Fortunately, it passed, but there are people that actually believe that we shouldn't have a ban on fentanyl that currently represent our community. That's just absolutely unacceptable. It's like they won't stop until they destroy our communities and our society. We all need to take a stand against this. This is a very, very dangerous bill. I'll open up the comments to the floor.
Okay, I didn't play the I didn't play the whole thing. They were gonna open it up to comments or something like that. But I wanted to go with what was kind of like the more official statement from this mayor at this community in Illinois. Apparently, this is something that is particular of the state of Illinois. But Jose, if you can tell me, I mean, wasn't there something like this that they were trying to do in New York, in the state of New York? Maybe I'm wrong, because I remember seeing something about that. And for you, Denise, if you can tell me, I don't think there is such a thing in California, but I don't know if they're starting to get any ideas. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna put the I'm gonna drop the link, and maybe you can tell me about it. I mean, I will admit that because I'm here in Texas, I don't really have to worry too much about that because I mean they wouldn't allow that here. Uh, but still, I mean, if there is something that you can share at your location where things maybe are administered differently, and maybe you want to share a little bit about that, then come on up. I just dropped the link and let's talk about it. So I do find that I feel for Rakim because he actually live up there. Um, and there are already instances of people when it comes to being able to protect oneself. Now it's really important that being able to protect yourself, that is preserved and that right is upheld. Okay, let me highlight. Okay, and I'm saying we're it's time to move the fuck out. Well, yeah, it's time to to move the fuck out of blue state. As you know, Denise, a lot of people are leaving California already. You know that. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna bring up my guest. ¿Cómo está, don José?
Muy bien, gracias a Dios. ¿Cómo está usted?
Estamos aquí, doing okay, doing all right.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's been a reality here in the city of New York, and in fact, they've been trying to make changes regarding this. We want to call it this new law or what have you. No,
Mhm.
no. I mean, there's a saying that the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I can understand. Okay, and the rationale behind that is that people should not, so-called innocent people, should not spend time in jail simply because they cannot pay the bail. However, what has done is that um, it created a higher sense of lawlessness here in New York. I mean, the crime situation here is crazy. I mean, it's gone off the roof. I mean, particularly since the onset of the this health crisis that we've been experiencing.
Mhm. Mm. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
highlighting what Denise is saying. And you can't even go to brunch in Melrose with your watch, your wallet, or nothing of value. You'll be robbed.
Um,
Well, uh, I feel for you guys. I mean, I'm sure that may be the kind of thing that you would like to be able to do. Go to a place where it's in the outdoors and being able to hang out and chill, have a good time. I mean, I'm sure that's something that you guys would like to do. But I feel for you. I feel for you if you can't do that.
I mean,
That's a hot mess. Yeah.
it was not long ago where our friend Keisha was faced with a crazy person. You know, she's just going outside to get some
Hmm.
milk, get some groceries. She can't even go outside to get groceries safe without worrying about the fear of being attacked. I mean, unfortunately, that's the situation. It's like New York has become a lawless city almost.
Yeah. Yeah. That's wow. It's like it's kind of hard to believe. Like all the more reason that you should be able to protect yourself. This is something that we have been talking about, and I have talked about with Rakim about it. That having those means, and you know which means I'm talking about. If you can, okay, not everybody is willing to have a firearm, but having things like mace, a stun gun, uh, pepper spray, other means that as legal as it is allowed in your cities, in your states. that you can do that you can protect yourself. But that whole notion that you have to be a sitting duck and a willing victim is really starting to remind me of how it is in Puerto Rico, because how things are set up. It is being set up that the laws do more for the criminals, because the criminals get to have whatever they want when it comes to protection. They can do whatever, and now with the shortage of cops in Puerto Rico, it's just not it's not conducive. I mean, and people have to protect themselves, and fortunately, things should be changing now. All the more reason, because we should be able to protect ourselves. I didn't like that imagery where when after Fiona hit Puerto Rico, then all of those cops, which is something that Denise highlighted. I saw a post that she made, and there were all of those New York cops that were landing on the island. Okay, what was that about? I know that there is a crisis, that there is a situation of a natural disaster, but to my understanding, there weren't any like real lootings. There wasn't a situation of looting. I mean, I can understand there being more cops if it happens that there were lootings at locations, people stealing things. That would have been one thing. But aside from that, I don't see the point in bringing the New York cops to Puerto Rico. And the thing is that New York cops giving tickets, I mean, they're out of jurisdiction to begin with. Now they're putting in place to fuck with people and to put them to as an additional means of revenue. Really.
Okay, well, actually, I'm sorry. Actually, what they need is, more medical personnel to make sure that everyone is well physically. They also need mental health personnel because they're going through a lot of trauma. And then also they need, be able to rebuild their homes and what have you. But the last thing they need is to send a whole bunch of police to come over here just to protect certain parts of the island because certain individuals are living there. I mean, you have the whole island has been affected by Fiona, not just certain areas.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, Denise says, also Democrat congressman is already spreading that they are sending a military commander to Puerto Rico to oversee the recovery of the island. No, we don't need that. No,
That's not
we don't
needed.
need. No, but the island. No. We don't need some military commander with certain orders deploying soldiers on the streets of the island. I mean, Puerto Rico is not a war zone.
No.
Military presence is not needed in the streets. It's people that can help. Like you said, medical personnel, not military personnel.
I mean,
No, that shouldn't be. No. That shouldn't even be this. Well, I see Pierre is afraid of the people revolting and is solely calling in armed forces. That's not good. Well, there shouldn't be a deployment of soldiers. Now, National Guard, local National Guardsmen, that will be one thing. But having a bunch of gringos with guns deployed on the streets of the island, that's only going to create tensions. I mean, no.
I mean, what's going to happen? It's going to make a bad situation into an even worse situation. What they need is doctors. They need therapists to deal with the trauma. They need people that can rebuild their homes and what have you, and help with financial resources and clothing. What they don't need is more military personnel to go there and treat the island like like a powder keg.
It's a bad idea. I mean, and I don't know which congresswoman was saying that, but that's somebody that had never been to the island. Obviously, they don't understand that even in the middle of an emergency, it's not anarchy. It doesn't devolve into anarchy on the island. Okay, there might be a few isolated situations here and there, but for the most part, what happens with the people on the island is that they actually get to work and they do for each other. I mean, that whole notion that there is going to be all this extensive looting and shit like that's not a thing in Puerto Rico. That's not a thing. It's not like what will happen, what allegedly happened in New Orleans when Katrina hit, or what was apparently happening in Houston when there were the floodings a few years ago, when there were actually people with guns watching out for businesses because there will be looters trying to get something for themselves. Uh, and that's
But
no, that's not a thing. That's not gonna be. Yeah. No. They're pushing for a dangerous issue, a dangerous situation. Shouldn't be allowed.
and not only that, what's doing? It's painting those people as animals. They're not animals. They're human beings. It's just been through a terrible situation, and you know what they need is medical help. They need people to rebuild homes, schools, bridges. They need help to rebuild their infrastructure. They need help to make sure that they have power that doesn't take weeks and months to get back online after a Category 1 hurricane. That is what
Yeah.
they need.
Now, if you were talking about sending the engineer corps to the island, that will have been one thing, but that's not what they're talking about. They're talking about sending like a general, somebody of high rank that's definitely gonna show up with some soldiers, and it's gonna be treating it like it was some kind of a war zone. Puerto Rico is not a war zone. I mean, it's just that there are certain elements. There are certain elements in the society that we live in that are very war horny. I mean, they're always looking for something to fight about. I mean, because it moves money. I mean, it has everything to do with that.
No.
Okay. After Irma, Florida had power in 12 days, and it was a Category 4 hurricane. Now Puerto Rico has been 12 days without power with a Category 1 hurricane. Unfortunately, Luma was never up to the task. It was never up to the challenge to get ready, to be prepared. I mean, it was just damn. They're just letting things to decay more and to rot and people to suffer. Not to mention that with the goddamn Jones Act, there was a hold on a shipment of diesel to the island, where the ship was offshore on the southern coast, but they couldn't land, it couldn't dock, so it could disembark all the diesel that it was carrying, because in Congress they had to make up their mind about it. If they were gonna do a relief, or they were gonna do a pause on the fucking Jones Act, that is putting all those restrictions to the island, and that's why people. Our neighbors, our brothers and sisters from other Hispanic nations, they can't come by and help, and they would like to, but but they can't do it because of the fucking Jones Act. Got us isolated.
It's crazy when you think about it. So basically, what we're doing in essence, we're not giving it the extra help that they need, and we're preventing other nations that can help them, that are willing to help them.
Yes, there have been other instances in which Puerto Rico has needed help, and countries like maybe Mexico and Panama have been willing to send help, but the U.S. turns the ship backs because they don't want them to help us. I mean, that's how selfish it is. It is something that Denise had called it before. It's an abusive relationship. I mean, we might get some overpriced goods from the U.S., but we don't have the option to get probably the same goods from other countries directly.
Yeah.
Because of the dog, because of the Jones Act, it's very oppressive, very
I mean,
exploitative. Mhm.
it's like Puerto Rico is like a stepchild or a bastard child of the United States.
Yeah, that the United States doesn't know what to do with it. I mean, except keep exploiting it. I mean, but then again, I don't want to get too upset because we have talked
Yeah.
about it before that Puerto Rico needs some level of autonomy. The whole statehood bullshit is not going to happen, and we try to tell that to certain Hispanic Americans. We try to tell them, but they don't want to understand. I mean, and it's understandable that they want to understand because they have been born and raised in a state of the United States, so they think that it's just a matter of making the same thing happen to Puerto Rico. But no. We have already talked about it before. The PNP party has been pushing for that since the 1960s, and it has. They have been pushing for that since the 60s, and it hasn't happened for a reason.
No.
Name of the congresswoman is Ro Khanna from California. I thought that Ro Khanna was a man. I've heard the name before. I thought that Ro Khanna was a man.
Well, you know what?
Uh,
Nowadays, it could be one of those gender, what's the word? Gender neutral terms. Well, let's compare.
yeah, it's a gender neutral name. Apparently, it's supposed to be that. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Okay.
no, but realistically, the best thing that can happen to Puerto Rico is eventually is that they become their own nation and they rule under their own banner, but they have to be prepared to do so.
They have to be prepared and they have to have the discipline for it, and that's a problem that we might not have because we've never had a chance to govern ourselves after all these hundreds of years. We haven't had the chance to do that. Let's say if we become a state, we will still have the Jones Act. Hawaii and Hawaii and Alaska still have it. Alaska? God damn.
That's
Okay, then I guess becoming a state it's not an option because everything is might just become more expensive,
no.
and it's, the island is just gonna become empty, and it's gonna be gentrification because that's what's happening. It's gentrification.
Yeah. It's going to get to the point when the people over there is not going to be able to live on the island. So what's going to happen is they're going to leave the island, and it's going to be an island just for blanquitos.
Yeah, it's gonna be, even though there are some of the blanquitos that are seeing the reality of living in the island, and they don't have what it takes. They don't have the resilience for it to deal with a natural disaster. A few drops of water fall down and they're quick to get on the next plane out. So good. Those that can deal with the weather down there, good. Leave. Get out of there.
I mean,
Don't come back.
one thing they have to realize when you're living in an area like in Puerto Rico or in the
Mhm.
Dominican Republic or even states like Florida, the Carolinas, hurricanes and tropical storms are a fact of life.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like us getting used to life in New York in the wintertime. Okay, if you're not willing to adapt to the weather condition, the best thing to do is not to live in that area.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you.
Mhm. But I really the fact of the matter is they've been through so much and they're still going through a lot now.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I have been in contact with the few relatives that I have left on the island, and they're doing okay. They're doing okay because they live in the north part of the island where it didn't hit too bad, so it was just a lot of rain. I mean, it was kind of like the southern part, the southwest part of the island, the same area where the tremors and the small hurricane, not the earthquakes, I should say, where the earthquakes were happening, and I don't think. I don't think that there have been any more tremors or earthquakes on the in the water of the coast of the island. Not that I know of recently, but there was some heavy activity a while back, and there were some. It was damaging houses. Those houses that are not designed to withstand an earthquake or a tremor. They just crumble because there is no flexibility when it comes to concrete, unfortunately. But that was because it's not a common occurrence. Then we weren't prepared for it.
I mean,
Okay.
I do know there have been some New York personnel that have left to go to Puerto Rico to try to help out. Some within the police, other than non-police, but like again, they need doctors, they need law, they need therapists, they need to repair the infrastructure. What they don't need is an armed military force for a situation that has not occurred and only to make things worse.
Yeah, yeah. It's the whole the possibility thinking of the possibility of there being a deployment as if it were like a war zone. It's not something that I'm no. That's not cool. That's not cool because there were between you and me. Okay, others are gonna hear this, but between you and me, I don't know because the guys in the guys in the housing projects might not take kind to it, and there could be some crossfire there. Uh, because there are people with guns. There are people with guns on the island. They start getting any ideas. I don't know what could end up happening. It could get real messy. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
thinking about the kind of like the worst case scenario. Hopefully, there is no deployment. We don't need to have the military showing up there. No.
yeah. No, we do not. What we need are doctors. We need therapists. They need therapists. They need people to repair the infrastructure
Hmm.
and grief counseling because there have been people who have died over there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But no, what we're gonna do, we're gonna send a huge armed force over there, basically hoping and praying that something happens so they can justify their presence.
Well, I mean, they need to see for themselves first that there is there is no. It's not a situation where there is looting going on. Because I could understand something like that having to have kind of like the National Guard if there is any like real situation, anarchy type of situation. That would be one thing, but no, that's not a thing in Puerto Rico. Uh, like there are certain there are certain Congress people in office that they just jump to certain conclusions and they assume some things and they don't know what the hell they're talking about. So
Well,
it shouldn't get to that.
it paints a picture that the people over there are a bunch of animals, and they're far from it. I mean, they're
Yeah,
for the most part they're very good people.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there are certain flaws. There are certain flaws because we do have an issue of that is connected to poverty when it comes to people getting into some kind of drug trade happening in the island that has been going on for a long time. So that's one, yeah, that's one thing. But for the most part, the Puerto Ricans are good folks. They're good people. It's just that
Yes, they are.
there are issues on the island that can be taken care of, but it's not now the time to be trying to kind of have like a show of force of at least of intimidation, and that's
Well,
not it's not a good idea.
no, what we need to do is to show solidarity and make sure that they get
Yes.
their mental and physical concerns addressed and make sure that they repair the infrastructure. That's what they need.
Yes. Yes. Definitely. Definitely. Man.
But
Man. Well, trying to leave that alone for now because I don't want to dwell into that because it can be a bit upsetting. But
well,
uh,
well,
uh
lately here in New York, we've been dealing with a large number of these people seeking asylum from Latin American countries.
yeah.
They've been shipped over um, by governors of Texas and Florida, and New York has had to be dealing with not only with its own homeless population, which is over 50,000 in New York, but we also have to deal with over 11,000 of these people seeking asylum. So,
Hmm.
as a result, we have to like struggle to find hotels to temporarily house these people. And part of the reason why I've been working overtime is because to deal with these their people.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's another thing. We still have to see as to what happens with the folks that are coming up in the buses. I mean, I wouldn't doubt that they will be transferred to another city. Some of them could end up being deported. I mean, it may happen. Uh, but we're gonna see what happens. I mean, it's just that it's a complicated issue, and there are people that are being sent to different parts, to different other cities. So hopefully, hopefully something fair and humane can be worked out for them.
Yes,
Hmm.
that is my prayer as well, because most of these people are, they're decent people. It's just that
Hmm.
they're being led to come over here, and it's very easy um, to say, ship them back to their own countries. We don't know what's the situation over there.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
before we thinking about shipping these people back, we got to make sure that they're going to be safe.
Hmm. Right, right, right.
So
So, so Don Jose.
yes.
So what's going on? So what's going on? What's new? So I'm
Oh,
trying to make it about different topics.
okay. Well, the fact that okay. Well, let's talk about something positive.
Yeah.
Okay. Next week it's going to be my birthday.
You have you have your plans, have the party on. You're not gonna have your lady by then, right? Nah, nah,
Well,
nah, nah. She's still not
well, you know
around.
what? Whenever she is able to get her visiting visa, she'll come and I'll show her New York and everything like that. Um, Now, actually, I'm going to be away next weekend. We're going to have what's
Mhm.
called delegate training, where every 3 years or so we go away for a weekend to learn how to be effective delegates. So, being that my birthday is in the middle of delegate training, I kind of give
Mhm.
like little hints here and there with my union family, letting them know, well, October the 7th is my birthday, and I'm going to be 60 years old and whatnot. So,
Yeah, 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 kind of like the obligatory question that I wanna ask you. It's kind of obligatory when it comes to sports. The whole situation about the Celtics coach. I don't know if you have been on top of it. It's kind of like a developing story,
You
a
know what?
developing situation. Uh-huh.
I've heard. I know our friend Keisha was talking about it, and this is okay. This is my thing.
Hmm.
Okay, I understand what consenting adults do. That's their own thing.
Yeah,
Okay, but when you are a public figure,
yeah,
or you're in an environment when you're visible, you have to be very careful of your actions. And if you're
yeah,
going to do
yeah.
any shenanigans, do it in private, because if you're not careful, next thing you know, the whole world is knowing that you engaging in some extracurricular activity with someone who's not your better half.
Yeah, yeah. It's just that it's complicated because I'm hearing different things. One is that he was he was messing with a woman at the job that is part of the organization, the Celtics organization. Then they said that it was the wife of the former vice president that he was messing with. Now I don't know if that's true. Now they're saying that the guy was messing with multiple women in the organization. Now I don't know if that last part is actually true. I do believe that he may have actually messed with somebody in the organization. He shouldn't have been messing with anybody in the organization. Come on, let's not be thirsty. I mean, he's making us men look bad because we're gonna be compared. All of us are gonna be compared to that. Somebody who doesn't have any discipline and doesn't can keep it in his pants and. I mean, we're gonna be blamed for it because you know how it is with certain, not all women, but certain women that are gonna look at us like we're all like him, like this guy. And the thing is that he has a woman at home, actress Nia Long. But apparently, because she's not somebody who can do commitments, and, and maybe they work together out of convenience or because it is a good look or whatever. Um, and I don't know what the hell happened. He kind of got a little bit too much into his job, if you know what I mean. And he's now getting in trouble, being put on blast. Now the details, certain details, haven't come out yet, but there are certain versions of the situation that are being talked about now. Then he says, "I support Ime getting suspended and even fired. However, if the woman doesn't get the same treatment, he can sue for discrimination." That's the thing because the organization is protecting her identity, and that's causing because they're protecting her identity. That's causing other women uh, in the organization that had nothing to do with it to be seen as kind of like suspect, and to be looked as a possibility of being one of the women that he was being involved, whether he was being involved with one woman in the organization or if he was being involved with multiple women in the organization. The guy messed up. He messed up because I mean, I don't know. You don't try to have sex with what you eat, where you eat, what's paying you. You don't literally screw that up. You don't do that. I mean, and there was already. I don't know now what you're saying about suing for discrimination. I don't know because there was a. I don't know if the policy, because I understand that the organization already has a policy of people that work with each other not to be romantically linked. So I don't know if that will cover anything on any of that. I understand, yeah. If it's only him gets that gets fired and nobody else is held accountable, and that shows a type of sexism. because I mean, I understand Ime Udoka is one of the faces of the franchise, him being the head coach, and I understand that last season he actually did very well because the Celtics did go all the way to the finals. So it seems like he did okay. He did all right when it comes to his job, but now it being in jeopardy because of an indiscretion. And like I don't know. Apparently, Nia Long was lacking.
Okay. Well, I'm going to speak about myself. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. In all my years that I worked like as a municipal employee and getting working in social services, I never even thought about dating someone at all.
yeah.
Okay. Even if the organization says it's okay, the problem is it has too many issues involved. Because if God forbid something happens between you and this female, then everybody in the office is aware of what's going on, and that could be very counterproductive. Now as a municipal employee, we are told that if we actually started a relationship with someone within our unit, what have you, that
Mhm.
mentioned will make a decision whether us need transfer. But numerous regarding things to avoid. One of them is called fraternization. Another one is called inappropriate conduct. I mean, I don't think I need to get into any further explanation.
No, no, they don't have to tell details. I mean, it's fairly self-explanatory.
Yeah. So therefore, I try to be very careful when I interact with females. Okay, it's gotten so bad that I cannot say that to a female coworker she looks beautiful. I have to use gender neutral terms like
Yeah.
you're very becoming with that outfit, or you
Ah,
wear that color very well, or you look extremely professional.
yeah, yeah. You have to be very vague with it. Now, listen to what you're saying. You're kind of breaking up a little bit. I don't know if you're having an issue with your connection.
Okay.
Yeah, but I hear what you're saying. It's just that I don't I don't really I barely compliment anybody at my job. I only compliment kind of like the there is a couple of the older Mexican women that I work with that they're older. They're already kind of like have little grandkids or something. So I can be a little more playful and compliment them, and they actually appreciate it because they're older. They're not gonna get offended by it. They know that I don't mean any harm, and they're not really trying to get out of line or cross a line or anything. So they're okay. It's okay. It's okay. But I keep it to I kind of like the Hispanic, or maybe or actually there are uh, a couple of the Asians. There are Asian immigrant Asians. So if one of them comes in with her hair down and I can compliment her on how much younger she looks like that, and she's not gonna say anything. This is somebody who is a grandmother too. So one has to know who one can feel comfortable with the compliments. But for the most part, I just keep it to people that I have already been working with for a long time, and they know that I don't get out of line. But yeah, there was unfortunately a situation at my job where somebody did get fired. Somebody did get fired because a recent new hire from California alleged that that a co-worker of ours of many years apparently he said something that was a little too that would be considered harassment. I got my doubts because I knew the guy, and he was somebody who, for years, he worked in the same office space with other considerably better looking women, and nothing like that ever happened. And the man was a family man, and he just didn't strike me as somebody who would do that. But yeah, yeah. I mean, there was this recently new hire, and she alleged something, and now my guy ended up without a job, unfortunately. And
Yeah, it
yeah,
is unfortunate. It is unfortunate. And, it's just that, like I said before, we're living in an age where you have to be ever so careful of how you
hmm
address
hmm
the members of the opposite sex.
yeah, yeah. It's unfortunate, but yeah, that's what can end up happening. That's right.
So, but getting back, I do plan to have to celebrate my birthday, and actually, I do plan to have like a little um, birthday stream on. Okay. I don't want to say Columbus. Okay, what's the other name? Indigenous Day. Um, I don't want to say Columbus Day because some people.
Well, I don't celebrate Columbus Day. I mean, and that doesn't mean anything to me. That's just another
No,
day.
but
I mean,
okay, but it's just that what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have like a birthday stream, and
hmm
I'm gonna celebrating my birthday. So I'm letting people know that I'm just gonna celebrate being 60 years old and the fact that I made it through um, 6/10 or 60, 75% or whatever it is of my lifespan,
hmm
and that
Yeah.
and that's a major accomplishment
Yes. Yes, it is.
because
Yes, it is.
because the fact of the matter is the lifespan of a typical male is I think it's 76 years old.
Right.
So
Right.
the the fact that I will become 60. So and I'm soon will be approaching the time for me to retire and say goodbye to working life. And I plan to leave New York.
I see. I see. Well, I mean, if you already have it all planned out, then go on ahead. Just make sure that everything is all well laid out, and you're gonna
Oh, believe
be
me.
you're gonna be a thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and in fact, I plan to lead a very active retired life.
hmm
So I
Yeah. I
got
mean, try to make sure that it has to do with something that you like, that you enjoy doing, so that it keeps you doing something. It keeps you active. The and people like that usually live long. That
yeah,
they stay active doing something that they like to do. That can be helpful in being happy in one's older years.
yes. So one thing I'm planning to do is after I retire, study to become a deacon.
Yeah, you mentioned something about that. Oh, you're gonna become you're gonna be getting into the priesthood. Not the priesthood, but
No,
it's
no,
gonna
no,
it,
no.
it has to do with being religious, with religion.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that first of all, it's something that I enjoy doing. I enjoy helping people, and it'll keep me alive until the time comes when I have to end
hmm
my earthly journey.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah. I know
So,
what you mean.
so
I get
I
it.
will be, I will be sending the link to all to the the same people. Hopefully, some of you will show up for my birthday stream. I mean, even if
hmm
it's just to say happy birthday. The fact of the matter is, I am blessed to have a lot of people who
hmm
love me as I am, with all my flaws and all my limitations.
That's good. That's a good thing.
Mhm. And
All right.
Yes. And as far as when Clara come, we'll see. But I do plan to go to the DR next year, definitely.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. That's good.
And if she does come in New York in the wintertime, I'll make sure that I'll have some winter coats for her. I'll have a couple of heaters for her so to make her stay as comfortable as possible.
Okay, okay, that's good. That's good. So I'm trying to see if I can. When can I get my lady to come back to visit me? It's just that she has to handle some business in the northeast, so she was only visiting. But it was good. It was good to have her here, and I enjoyed that a lot. And I'm looking forward to have her visit again. But now we're heading into the fall, so there are other plans things that I have to do. I hope that my sister and my friends in Florida that they are doing okay. That they're not being affected too bad uh, by Ian, which is the hurricane. Um,
Yeah,
Definitely, I hope that you that they are doing all right. That they're doing good.
yeah. Well, let's have some positive. Let's share some positive thoughts
Yes.
and send some
Yeah,
positive
that should be fine.
vibes over there.
Mm-hmm. It should be all right.
Yeah, I mean, as long as they take the necessary precautions, and of course, I'm gonna ask if anyone, if if you have not done so, please subscribe to the Introvert Boricua. Show your love for Father Boricua. I mean, he does have a excellent platform, so let's show some love for him.
Yeah, appreciate it. And by the same token, I'll also check out Don Jose's channel on Common Sense with Jose Negron. Check it out. Uh, like, subscribe to this channel, but also to Jose Negron, and hit the notification bell so that you are made aware of any uploads and any upcoming streams. So
I, yeah, actually, speaking about that, I do plan to have a Spanish speaking stream on my channel on
mhm.
Sunday, October the 16th. I still need to think about what's going to be the topic.
Yeah,
Hopefully you will be available, and of course I'll send the notifications. Uh, as far as all are welcome to my platform. Um, and it's a safe space for everyone to share their point of views. I don't believe in um,
hmm,
kicking people out simply because I disagree with them. And in fact, I look at it this way: we can learn through disagreements, and
yeah,
I have learned many things through disagreements.
yeah. No, definitely, definitely.
Hmm. So,
So, I mean, I thought that I was gonna keep it going for a little bit longer, but maybe if you don't, Jose, is there anything else that you wanted to share? Maybe I will start wrapping it up.
okay, well, may I make a suggestion?
Yes.
Okay. Now on my stream, there are times when I'll have open talk. I'll have like open discussion.
Hmm.
So what I do is I prepare like some notes. What I'll do is I'll take about maybe 10 things that I may want to discuss, and
Yeah.
then I spend like that way I can spend like as much as an hour discussing it. I don't know if that's something that you have ever done. Maybe that's something that you might want to think about doing.
Have bullet points. No, I get what you're saying, and I should. I should have some notes. I should have some things written down, like bullet points, and go over them. I just need to be a little more organized, because it's easier to just turn on the live and start talking. But the thing is that I'm not that talk to so much of a talker, like some of our friends that are better at it, at the gift of gab. I mean, I don't have that, so I do may need to consider that, having some bullet points, having a different approach. I get it. No, you're right. You're right. I have to do it differently. So that's something that I'm gonna be thinking about, and see how can I do it differently. And
Okay.
but I need a little bit more support. I need others to also show up, and come on up and interact, at least when it comes to the comments,
Okay.
because that
Also,
helps. Yeah.
also, what I'll do is the following. I know you sent the link um, to our group chat and Instagram.
Hmm.
What I also do is, okay, I'll send in the group chat, but I also send the link to as many as, I think, 10 people that I follow in
Hmm.
Instagram. I don't know if maybe in your case it might be 8, 6, or whatever. And what happens is, I know for a fact that out of the 10, a good chunk, maybe like 5 or 6 or whatever, will either view the stream,
Hmm.
either live, or they'll view it on the playback, or some of them will actually enter comments, and some of them will enter the panel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, what I do is, like, sometimes I'll do like short videos on Instagram, as a preview regarding the topics I'm going to talk about. Now, I know it could be a challenge for someone who's an introvert,
Yes.
but, but okay, but one thing to bear in mind: you and I with these spokespeople for our platforms. Okay, so
Mhm.
okay, this is the way I look at it. I've tried to create an awareness.
Yeah.
So therefore, I do these things, and so far I have success. Okay, now grant you,
Yeah.
I'm not big. I don't have a big channel. I only have 155 subs, but
Yeah.
it's getting there. So and I know it could be a challenge,
It is.
but the way I will look at it is this: think of it as you're trying to highlight your channel and give like
Hmm.
a motivation for others to view it.
Yeah.
I, I think if you do that, you're going to get you're going to get your support.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know. I have to figure it out. So I have to get to it. So I'll see how soon I can get into another stream. I certainly am gonna let you know, and I'm gonna set the link out to our friends so that they can join in. So yeah, yeah, I'm gonna do that. It's just on this one, I did wanted to make a kind of like having an excuse for a stream because of this a couple of situations that we were just talking about. But yeah, for the next one, I'll try to do something more entertaining. So I have to work on it.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. And also
So
what I do is, like, I'm sorry. Also
mhm,
on my platform, what I do is, like, when I see other people like yourself and the 18th letter and Morena and whatnot, I will make sure that I give them a plug. Just
mhm,
make sure that my audience is aware of all the other platforms, and not just support me, but to support all the other good people as well.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna make sure the definitely anybody who is watching that can check her out. Check out Denise's channel, Latin Explaining with Denise Gonzalez. Check her out. Subscribe. Hit the notification bell because she's actually that's actually a more of a news channel. She actually does her own streams in which she shares very good information about subjects, things that are relevant at the time. So I strongly suggest that whoever is listening to this, check out Denise's channel, and and of course Don Jose's. So, Don Jose, any final thoughts? I'm not gonna be doing a backstage because there is something that I have to take care of. But
Okay.
any final thoughts before I wrap up?
Well, as always, thank you very much for being very gracious to allow me on your platform. And the fact of the matter is, as always, you bring up things to consider.
Hmm.
When it comes to the situation with the bail reform, I mean, that's something we have to understand what's the whole purpose of bail in the first place. And before you start to condemn, at least do your research and study why. Okay. As far as as always, it's a real pleasure. Tomorrow night at 8 o'clock your time, I'm going to be talking about how to deal with stress. So
Okay.
hope to see some of you there because we all deal with stress from time to time to time. I just want to
Hmm.
say very much, and people, please make sure that you uh, subscribe, hit the like button, and set the bell notification to all when Ramon prepares any content. You will have the opportunity to catch it live or catch it on the playback. Thank you very much.
Thank you for being up here and joining me and being part of the stream, sharing your thoughts. It is always greatly appreciating you consistently show support, which is something that I very much appreciate. And by the same token, and when it comes to hitting the notification, hitting subscribe, do the same thing for Don Jose for his channel. But he's growing his channel little by little. I mean, it's taking time, but he's earning them. The subscriptions are all earned. So anybody listening, check out his channel. So Don Jose, I appreciate you being here once again, and we're gonna be talking again soon. And let's see if I should be able to join you in your upcoming live. And have a good one, Don Jose.
Okay, take care. Have a good night.
You too, sir. Bye.
Bye.